Oh, hey guys, look, Alice is here. Hey, Alice.
Hello.
Hey, you remember Devon. And then we also got Chris Pottinger and Ricky DeMeo. That's short for Richard the Mayonnaise.
That's me.
A lot of people don't know that. And they have a band called Soviet Shiksa. And they're pretty fucking cool. So, how you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
That's good. Devon, how are you?
I'm good. Great.
That's good. So, you guys have a show coming up.
Well, it's a ways away, but yeah, it's a show. It's on the calendar. I don't think the world or society can take it away from us at this point. It's July 30th, Springwater, with the Goddamn Gallows. It's going to be cramped and sweaty and weird and aggressive and fun.
That's July 30th at Springwater with the Goddamn Gallows.
The Goddamn Gallows.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, God.
It's going to be a good time.
Oh, man. Like, that's going to be intense.
I think the last time I was at Springwater was Daikaiju. That,
Oh, yeah.
God
I was
damn.
there.
You were there?
Good time.
Oh my god. Oh my god. This last time when Vladipus played?
Yes.
Oh, God, it was so good.
Fucking...
So, Ricky, what do you think happens after we die?
that took a fucking twist right there. Good lord.
Jeez.
I don't know.
My
I think...
neck snapped on that left turn. Holy shit. What was that,
Good
dude?
lord.
Alice is one to know. I
I don't know. I think you're just sleeping.
mean, yeah,
Nothing.
that
Just a big black void.
that answer makes a lot of
I
sense.
think.
Yeah.
But who am I to know? I'm not dead.
Well, I think that's the thing. Like, no one on this entire planet knows, you
Yeah.
know. But we all have ideas about it, like what it might be. And that's like, I forget who it was that said death is like the last perfect thing because humans haven't been able to fuck it up yet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think happens when we die?
The optimist in me likes to think that something lives on, something goes on. You know, I'd like to think reincarnation is a thing, past lives, all that good stuff. But the crippling realist in me says nothing. Yeah, it's just a big old nothing. It's like, but you know, I don't know who said it. It might be a Chinese proverb for all I know. But essentially, they compared life to a stream, and how all you see of a stream is the portion of the stream in front of you. You don't see where the stream starts. You don't see where the stream ends. All you see is the stream that's in front of you. And that little metaphor is the only thing that gives me any kind of optimism for anything outside of this life.
It's a fancy smancy way of saying we don't know, so just kind of float down the river, like just be with it, I guess.
Yeah,
Let's go with the flow.
Yeah.
I'm so much of a megalomaniac. I'm pretty sure I'm going to live forever. Like, I'll be the one that does. But it's not going to happen.
I'll be the one guy that is just immortal.
Yeah.
So again, like,
I
go
didn't
ahead.
realize you were a Highlander. That's great.
There
aspire.
can only be one. So, okay, moving on. Do you guys have any experiences? We'll start with Ricky. Do you have any experiences you would consider supernatural and or you just can't explain with logic and reason?
Oh, God.
I used to say ghost stories, but that's not encompassing enough for what I'm trying to ask you.
Did your Matrix ever break?
Yeah.
I think it's broken right now.
Falls asleep.
I think
I just had a stroke.
I think broke Ricky and he just...
I mean, I'll have to think about it. Nothing's like jumping up.
I think no is a perfectly acceptable answer as well.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. No.
No, I mean, if
Yeah.
the Matrix is still working for you, baby, live it.
Yeah. Well, that's Alan Watts said. I love like hippie shit like that. But Alan Watts is like a philosopher from like the 60s, and he used to say that. Why did I bring up Alan Watts?
Homie, I'm trying to follow you, baby.
Alan Watts.
No, as being an answer, maybe. No.
Oh.
probably not.
He was. Yes, I remember now. He was like, he's like, so like at the first level of like awakening, you had these pseudo intellectuals that are like, look at these plebeians living their normal lives. I'm so above that. I'm enlightened. And he's like, but actually you're the one that's removed from it. Like all these other people have decided to be in the game and participate. They're like enlightened in that way. And here you are removing yourself from it. Like I'm above this, you know? And I think that's an interesting idea too, where it's like Devon said, if the Matrix is working, don't try to break it because it's supposed to be working.
Enlightenment is a funny thing because, you know, I've heard that before, and it's talking about like if you're on a quest for enlightenment or for kind of exceeding and going beyond the average experience, you're kind of missing the point of experience itself.
Yeah.
There's a proverb that is before enlightenment, make rice, fetch water. After enlightenment, make rice, fetch water. I might be mixing that up, but essentially it's like if you're truly enlightened, you're going to keep living life prior and before and after the search for enlightenment.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So
That's a trip.
So nothing, huh? Nothing supernatural? Besides
I can't think of it.
being alive?
Yeah, man, I'm just living.
Oh.
I mean, Atlanta was a bunch of weird, but I don't think it would be considered supernatural by any means. Super awkward at times.
Super awkward. Very drunk.
Super fun. Like, definitely super fun.
Yes.
Yeah. But, yeah, definitely super awkward.
Do you remember when I asked that question to Wes Kramer and he was like, I asked him if he'd ever had any supernatural experiences or something like that, and he just shot back immediately like, I mean, I worked at Denny's for a while or something like that.
That's a great answer.
That is wow. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a good answer. What about you? Do you have any experiences you'd like to share?
I have a couple. Nothing I would call noteworthy or like extraordinary, just unusual. The first instance that comes to mind is explainable, but it was terrifying when it happened. I was 16 or 17. I was home alone. I was laying on the couch, as I was apt to do as a 16-year-old. And I don't know where my family was. My mom was probably out. My brother was probably on a sleepover. Anyway, I used to, I had a boombox. I would listen to my music from upstairs, downstairs, because that's how I partied. And I'd fall asleep on the couch. One day I was listening to some CD, fell asleep on the couch, and then I hear what sounds to be someone drinking a glass of water upstairs, like loudly, just like aggressively drinking water. And then I hear what sounds like a glass being set on the counter of my bathroom. And it's all very clear and it's all very loud and it sounded very real. And instead of like, you know, being mature and getting up and, you know, trying to find out what the sound is in my home at 2 o'clock in the morning, I just freeze and kind of like slowly pull the blanket over me. And then all of a sudden, I hear an acoustic guitar starting off with like a B minor chord and it's alternate picking. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I realized what had happened is I was listening to a record by a band called Stained. And there's an instrumental track after about 15 minutes of silence. So, like, it turned into, like, a serenade from Aaron Lewis.
Oh, my God. That's fucking epic.
Metal bands used to do that all
But
the time.
they recorded the sound of him aggressively drinking
Oh, it
water?
starts off with, like, him, like, drinking water and, like, putting the glass down on a countertop. It's real weird, so it threw me through a big loop.
That's
exactly what I could picture.
Oh, it fucked me up. And then another instance that happened in the same exact scenario, but I can't explain. You know those like spring door stops? They go. All right, we had one of those at the top of this stairs.
Should we maybe pause it for a second?
Live from Baghdad.
We're under heavy fire.
Anyway.
Yeah, we should be good now, I think.
So, same scenario, laying on the couch, being a big, lazy teenager. I hear the spring flick. And there's no one in the house except for me and my pug. And my pug is at the foot of the couch, and that stirred her up. So she gets up, and she's looking towards the stairs, and I go into lockdown mode again.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fucking coward at heart. And then it happens again. My pug hops off the couch and runs down to the foot of the steps, and she's looking up, and she's like squaring off with whatever's happening at the top of the stairs. And the hall light is on the stairwell, and I can't see anything. I don't see any shadows, and she's just growling, and she won't go up. And eventually I get up and look, and there's nothing up there. So I walk upstairs, I check the bedrooms, I check the bathroom. There's nothing up there whatsoever. And there was nothing that could have triggered it. There was no towels on the floor. The doors weren't open. And I don't know what she was freaking out about. I don't know what sprung the spring. That's probably been the only thing that I can't really chalk up to like being tired on the road. I to this day, I'm not really sure what happened there, or what could have triggered that spring. And if it only happened once, I could have imagined it. I could have been in my sleepies. But the fact that it happened the second time and my dog reacted the way she did is what makes me wonder.
Tells you no, it's not in the head.
Yeah. And I don't know. I considered someone maybe had broken in, but like there was no way they could have broken in. It was upstairs, and I don't know.
Weird.
Yeah, I've thought about it a lot over the years, but it's the only thing. I have a couple of other instances that could be false memories. I remember a Pepsi can crushing itself and dancing on our table in front of my family as a kid. But that could be a false memory. It was basically like, it's kind of like wobbling like this on a table by itself, and it would dent in and dent out. It happened for about 5 minutes.
What the fuck?
Yeah, but that's, memories are tricky. I was like 7 when that happened.
I like the way like you're thinking about it. The way you're like projecting that is like, I mean, I was like a little kid when this happened.
Yeah. Memories are slippery. Slippery. You can't trust them.
It's a weird thing though, because I think children are
Still,
more.
that's terrifying.
Yeah, and I think children are more susceptible to things as well. So like, things that happen as a child, like, I mean, that's not my experience. I didn't have like crazy shit happen to me as a kid.
I had like one, maybe two, like kind of matrixy, kind of broken things that happened when I was younger, but the weirdest things happened when my parents moved into that house, and that was...
Have you told them the story about...
Well, I don't think neither of you guys actually ever came out to the Spring Hill house, did you?
No.
Nah, that was the thing, like, I know Kyle and Mark did at one point, and... Oh, no, Ian did too, yeah. And that was the thing, and we were jamming out at one point, and... But this is that, like, really, really old house, and it's like a 250-year-old house, and, like, then there's, like, a slave house behind it, and there was some weird stuff that happened in there. But that's where we were jamming, and, like, my parents had moved in, and they're just like, a bunch of music stuff back there, and, turning on amps and hearing all sorts of voices and sounds, and I'm just like, no, that's radio, that's just interference, and then it's like... Maybe it's not,
Yeah.
And just when it kept being like the same song again and again, and
You're really glossing over that story right now.
Yeah, I am. This is not the Devon show right now. I'm so interested in what's been going on with these guys' lives that I want to know more over there. Like, yeah. I think we've had this story before on the Rabbit Hole.
Did we talk about this on the show?
I thought we talked about it with Rachel and Q, didn't we?
We might have. Basically, you heard like
I did a lot of drinking on that one. I apologize.
You're good.
Yeah.
I'm doing drinking right now.
Yes. Cheers.
So the long story short, you heard like old Southern.
Yeah, it was
like,
the same line like again and again, and like one of those kind of hymnal things where it's just the same repetitive stomp, and yeah. I'm not singing it right now, dude.
Okay.
No, it's not happening. No.
Devon
Some
heard
sort of like spiritual or something
yes,
like that? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like old
just
slave
kind of
hymns.
Oh, interesting.
It's not cool. It wasn't fun.
You sure you don't want to do your impression of it right
Yeah,
now?
drudge it up, Devon. Come on.
Do it.
Nope. Never good. It's, no, it feels very weird to like do it in the first place, and it just...
Oh, I'm sorry I brought it up.
No, it's... Yeah.
It's like, not only does he have ghosts, they're racist ghosts.
Well, see,
Yeah.
it's
the worst kind of ghosts.
Okay, so the back was like a little weird, but the house had some weird stuff too. And apparently some little girl had died in there. So here it is, my dad had already passed away. Mom's the only one left in the house. I'm in there with her. We're the only ones in the house. I got the house all locked up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she's like, hey, can you go get me my purse to do this? Dude, her purse moved rooms 3-4 different times. I'm sitting here like, she's laying in bed dying of cancer. She's not the one getting up. She can barely move, you know? And I'm like, what in the world is going on? I'm hearing doors slam upstairs. Like, that whole place was jacked up. Like, not just the back. I feel like the back got better because we kept playing music. And it didn't feel nearly, like, as dark or as cold. And, like, it just suddenly started feeling like, oh, no, okay, we can hang out here. What's up? And Switchman jammed there, like, a ton. And that's when it was just like, okay, no, it's definitely getting a different feel, and like you could walk in the room and it didn't feel cold all the time anymore. Like, that's the big thing. That was the weird one. But no, the house itself.
Yeah, I'm sorry about it. I just think it's an interesting story because it's an interesting story. But moving on from that.
Yeah, it's definitely weird.
Let's talk aliens. So let's just start off. Like, do you guys think there's, let's say, extraterrestrial life, like life outside of Earth?
It's got to be. I think so.
I think it's a fair assumption to make. We'd have to be pretty special for that not to be the case.
Yeah. It's like really unlikely.
But I mean, it is a really rare set of circumstances that happened on Earth to create the life that we have. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. Now, if infinite possibilities are available, then obviously, life is out there and it's in abundance, whether or not in this dimension and then in infinite dimensions.
There are like hundreds of billions of known galaxies, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And there's like our galaxy is like enormous, and there's like hundreds of billions of those. Like, so I'm with you guys on that it seems really unlikely that we would be like the only intelligent life.
Yeah, I mean, we've just now scratched the surface of exploring our own galaxy, and we found thousands upon thousands of like Earth planets that meet the conditions for life. But yeah, I mean, you got to think, intelligent life wouldn't exist on this planet if 64 million years ago an asteroid hadn't taken out the majority of amphibious life and reptiles and all that stuff. And how intelligent do you think dinosaurs could have been in 64 million years? There's no telling. They were too busy, eating and fucking each other into, abundance. Like, so like
that's a very metal sentence. Well, eating and fucking each other into abundance.
But I think that the conditions that create intelligent life on Earth are incredibly particular and incredibly special, incredibly rare. I think the opportunity for life is everywhere, but intelligent life, that's the tricky one. And then you have to think, is there intelligent life that evolved to the point where they're just not interested in finding any other intelligent life? Do they know better than to interact with other intelligent life? Because, like, you figure any society in the history of mankind, they've come into contact with another society, whether it's across an ocean or across a fucking river. One of them has to go. There's not room for both of them. It's like, what you got? You got gold? You got blankets? Fuck it, we're going to kill you. Take your gold and blankets and your women while we're at it. Like, there's nothing good that comes.
So just based on our history, it wouldn't necessarily be wise to even go looking.
No, you don't. I mean, Stephen Hawking, that was one of those last warnings to society before he died. He's like, don't talk to the aliens. Don't look for the aliens. You don't want none of the aliens because they're not going to want anything good from us. They're not going to care about us because they're advanced to the point to travel through interstellar space or interdimensional space. We don't know. So there's nothing good that can come of it.
So that's a good segue into my next question. Okay, so I think we're all on the same page. You're probably in agreement with that. The aliens, probably.
More likely than not.
Yeah. So the next question is...
I've had too many friends be like, no, they're real.
Next question is, have we made contact? Have they been here before?
Pretty fucking cool if we have.
Because... So this kind of...
I mean, when he makes the interdimensional comment, I kind of wonder whether or not, they've been here the whole time. They've been going back and forth. Like, it's not... Like, I've been under the mindset that, like, folklore gets passed down and the story gets told again, and it's just like, like River Monsters. He starts with, the salamander was actually this big, but of course, the tale of how the salamander is the dragon that steals children's souls to the, the underworld, and it's grown up to be so much more, but it was based off of an actual, like, no, this creature exists, be careful of it, but it's not, Cerberus, so could something like angels and aliens and like how all that kind of stuff crosses over and just the interpretation of it and how the story gets told again. Because even in the point of like, we're trying to relate to each other right now about these experiences and how many different ways have we just kind of not explained it great, or at least not I have. You guys have been good. You know what I mean? And like the story of telephone, just it breaks it down even more over time. And now here we are with.
That's the rational outlook on it. Yeah, is that we have no idea what the fuck has happened in history. So
I think we get like a round outlook by looking at the folklore, but I think to like sit there and call it factual history is hard. You know.
I mean, as we all know, the Earth was created in 5 days, literal days, and humans are only 5,000 years old. So that's all the history we need.
Stop it.
Be safe. It's like I would love to have that security in my life. Like you got.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Like explore like there's think about like the traditional theories on like how contact would happen. Let's look at the first one. Let's say there's a situation like Roswell where a craft that may or may not have contained like physical life as opposed to like AI or some sort of like auto like pilot system or something like that crashed in Roswell. The government found it, initially announced that it was, you know, out of this world, but then like they changed their story and started playing it really close to the vest. What would their motivation be for that? The main motivation, in my opinion, would be because Russia, they want to have this technology, they want to, you know, they want to backward develop. What's the word? I'm forgetting.
Reverse engineer.
Thank you. Yes, reverse engineer it. They want to have it to themselves. Now that's one possibility for contact of some kind to be made and the general public to not be made aware of it. The other is like, you know, some sort of like secret society, aliens hang out with the Bush family at Camp David, whisper in their ear secrets about the universe and say, don't tell anyone, they can't handle it. That doesn't seem likely to me because, once again, if there's a species of aliens that are capable of interstellar travel, why would they feel the need to play it safe with us? We're fucking ants to them. Like, I think if any kind of contact has been made, it probably happened before civilization was civilization. I like the idea of contact being made with like the Egyptians or the Aztecs or the world in that point. And I think that there's real likelihood in like that pyramids and things like that were kind of built in ways to honor, to communicate in some sort of way to these sky gods. I think if contact has been made, it was made back then, and they were told we will be back eventually. But I don't think in modern time contact has happened because I don't think we'd be able to keep it secret.
It would be very difficult to keep it under wraps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you looked into any of these guys that, like Bob Lazar?
Yeah, Bob Lazar is real fun because he's consistent, he's interesting. He, in my opinion, he's a little kooky. The whole element 19 was it element
115?
150
is that right? 115, I think.
115. I always forget the number of the element that he discussed. I've never really bought into that whole aspect of his story, but the thing is, it's consistent. The records show he worked where he did, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they discovered some sort of craft, be it in Roswell or somewhere else, that they don't necessarily understand, whether it was developed by another government of this world or it was like a piece of machinery that flew here from another solar system via autopilot. That's not out of the realm of possibility to me.
It was element 115.
Well, element 115, thank you.
So, okay.
But yeah, Bob Lazar is one of the most credible things that I've read. Also, that fighter pilot who encountered those ships off the coast of, I think, San Francisco.
They had footage of that.
They had footage of it. The Pentagon's made it very clear we don't know what this is. I think the craft moved from 15,000 feet above sea level to 1 foot within like a second.
Footage. Yeah,
it's insane, and no one can really explain it away.
It's more recent stuff, right?
Within the past 15 years, I think is when it happened.
Rotating, and you hear the pilots were blown away.
Yeah, no heat signatures, nothing.
Yeah, moving against the wind and
just insane. So that's interesting to me, but it could, once again, that guy is respected. He's not a quack. He knows what he's talking about. He has no idea what it could be. It's possible it's technology from China or Russia or India that we just don't understand.
Just super advanced technology.
Yeah, but who knows?
Well, and I think that's good to keep that in mind because people get so excited, like aliens. It's like, no, it could be fucking China. Like they just have some crazy shit we don't know about.
It's easy to get juiced up about aliens. Like life is that empty.
I wouldn't like. I'm really on the fence about this particular thing. I'm not sure what I think about alien contact, but something interesting I saw recently, a few months ago. The former Israeli chief of their space program had a press conference, and it's a pretty interesting watch. He talks about how Israel, America, Brazil, China, and a bunch of other countries, France I think, have all been in contact with some kind of extraterrestrial entity. And then he goes on to talk about apparently these guys are so like there's no validity to any of it. Like you can't find anything to say for sure on stuff like this. It's totally conjecture. But he's talking about how Trump had told him personally that when he was debriefed on it, he wanted to tweet about it, and through some vague means he was stopped. So you were talking about like keeping it under wraps.
See, that's where you lost me right there. You just said Trump was stopped. Somebody stopped him from tweeting.
According to Haim Ashed, the former director of the space program in Israel, he said Trump told him, and you know what, I'm maybe I need to look this up again.
Yeah.
But it was something along the lines of Trump tried to tweet, and there was some kind of like alien intervention that stopped him from doing that. Like they basically stepped in and said no.
I think that's what it would actually take for like him to stop tweeting.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Alien intervention.
That little snippet makes sense to me because it's like that's exactly what the fuck Trump would do.
Yeah, he's so eager to please. I can't imagine he would keep
day one.
Keep that quiet.
Day one, immediately Twitter. That would be the thing, right?
Yeah, I would think so. Or at least day one out of office. He's like, oh, by the way, aliens.
The reason I brought...
right? I mean, what are the other? It's like either the day you go in or the day you go out. By the way, they're real.
Yeah.
Later.
I would imagine the stakes are pretty high if there was something that shut him up.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I don't fucking know. But, like, I thought that was interesting because you brought up it would be a hard secret to keep under wraps. What if we're not the ones keeping it under wraps? What if they specifically don't want us to know? So it's like they tell the world leaders, don't talk about this. Suppress it.
Well, that's
misinformation.
Well, the problem with that is like, why would they even need to be in communication with world leaders?
They wouldn't need to, because you're right. If they had the technology to be contacting us, they don't need shit from us.
No, like
so it would be some sort of like zoo, exhibit.
Yeah, let's say that craft off the coast of San Francisco is like one of many races of aliens that have been in contact with our government or something like that. That thing was actively jamming radar and able to move at speeds that we can't understand or begin to fathom.
If they wanted to fuck us up, they would.
Yeah, and if they wanted to stay out of sight, they could.
According to what you were just talking about, Alex.
Haim Ashed?
Yeah, he said that what was said was Trump was on the verge of revealing, but the aliens in the Galactic Federation are saying, wait, let people calm down first. They don't want to start mass hysteria. They want to make us sane and understanding.
That's even more insane than I remembered.
Okay.
You know.
That's funny.
I'm just quoting Newsweek here.
That's funny.
That's all I'm over here doing.
I mean, who fucking knows, man? Who fucking knows? It could be. It could be fucking aliens.
Just backing up your point.
So...
I love that it's the Federation. Like, I thought it was the Vulcans who were supposed to show up first. Like, you know?
They got
He's loving it.
They got the lore wrong.
Yeah. Like, when does the Borg show up?
Reset, do it again.
Yeah. Like, way later. Way later? No, I thought they time traveled and they came back in the beginning. Like, that's the point. Like, the Borg were supposed to be here first.
Hey, man, I watched it first.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So, okay, what about interdimensional aliens? So, like, things not off this planet, but things that just aren't in the physical space.
I'm for it. What's that thing that the hippies smoke that takes them to the other dimension?
DMT.
DMT, thank you very much. They say they're in communication with them, the gnomes and such. I've had long talks with close friends who've done DMT, and they claim that they have learned secrets of the universe through them.
I've never met anyone that's done it and not met something.
Yeah.
Literally everyone.
Yeah.
I can speak from personal experience. You leave your body and go somewhere else, and there's like I'm not sure how versed you gentlemen are in psychedelics, but comparing like mushrooms and LSD to DMT is just not a thing.
Yeah,
it's something else. It's like calling it a psychedelic is for like lack of a better word, because I'm convinced it's just like a vehicle. All it does is rip you out. That's it. And then everything else is
They call it the spirit
out there.
molecule.
That's my take. I don't fucking know, obviously.
Concept
Yeah.
of God comes from.
Based on everything I've read about it and heard about it and people's experiences, I mean, that's what it sounds like. Now, I understand the argument that, it's a chemical in your
Right.
brain, it's doing wacky things, you don't experience it every day. I get that, but, like, people's experiences are very consistent, and I understand the power of suggestion. You hear one person talk about meeting an entity, all of a sudden you meet an
Yes,
entity.
yeah.
I know the first few times I ate acid or did shrooms, my friends told me what to expect, and sure enough, my first few experiences mimicked those expectations. And when I would start experimenting with on my own, they're very different experiences. So yeah, I understand that, but DMT definitely does seem like a special situation and a special deal. And I'm open to the possibility that it clears the road for communication with something outside of our dimension, because reality is that fucking weird. I'm eager to try that myself in a safe, legal setting. But yeah, I'm open to it.
Yeah. I think if you're curious about that, definitely give that a shot at some point in your existence before you die, because it's like nothing else. It's nothing. Here's the thing about DMT.
In a legal setting under a controlled medical supervision.
Thank you,
Not
producer.
to be suggested to condone or condemn the use of such substances. Obey
Rhetoric
all
Rabbit Hole
laws.
does not condone the use of DMT.
Soviet Shiksa does.
Fuck yeah.
Get on it, kids.
I take it back. Do DMT, Alice.
Squeegee your third eyes.
I mean, is that what it's supposed to do? Is like be stripping like the pineal gland of all the fluoride and like open
I
the
don't.
mind's
I
eye
don't
kind
know.
of thing?
I don't know
It-
chemically what
it
happens.
Releases the DMT. It releases your pineal gland is where DMT is. So
Dimethyltryptamine or
so
something
when
like that?
Yeah. When you oxidize it, or when it gets oxidized in your head, it goes away. So if you were to like just take it, it would never affect you. So when it's smoked, it hits you. The reason it goes by so quick is because it oxidizes. If some people are on MAO inhibitors, it can last 6-7 hours, and that's with like ayahuasca and all those mixtures
Yeah.
they would make. They would use a mushroom or something that contained DMT, and they would find a root that contained the inhibitor.
It's an yeah.
But this is thousands of years ago, so they didn't know what was what, but for some reason they knew.
I love how many centuries of trial and error did that riddle take to solve the
That's the
ayahuasca
question, right?
ceremony?
How long?
The wrong
Well, that's-
mushrooms
How many
is
hold
the
on.
real question.
How many shaman were like, the shaman's not getting up, y'all.
Well,
Yeah.
hold on.
Yeah.
That is actually.
Yeah.
That's
Getting up.
fucking dead.
that's
Oh,
the core
that
of
one's
it.
not holy. He ain't the holy man. That
Guess
one
he
didn't
wasn't the
get back
chosen
up.
one. Who's the chosen one?
That really is the question, though. Is how long did it take him to figure this out?
Yeah.
How much trial and error did it take? Because if you ask some of these indigenous people, they'll tell you, yeah, the plants told us how to make the plants, or how to make the brew.
Mushrooms are all about.
So it really is a question of like how long did it take them to figure this out, or did they just do it?
Did somebody come down and tell them,
Yeah.
or was the knowledge brought from elsewhere?
So when me and Ricky were at the bar earlier, we were talking about Joseph Pade from Vladipus. Shout out to Vladipus 9. He's been on the show before, and he was telling me about platypus, because I was asking him about the name Vladipus 9. And he started going on about platypi, I
The
guess.
noble platypi. Yeah.
The noble platypi. And how he's like, yeah, platypi are proof of genetic engineering. He's like, they're bioluminescent.
Yeah.
They have bills. They have these fucking like weird beaver tails. Like
The
They have
mammals that
venom.
lay eggs.
They have venom.
They have venom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like everything rolled into one.
Yeah.
They lay eggs, but I think they also marsupial. Don't they carry them?
Yeah, they're technically they're egg-laying mammals.
What the
Carry
hell?
Like a marsupial, or I guess that's what the term is when they carry them.
All right, I'm convinced.
Pouch, yeah.
I'm convinced. They're platypi were made in a lab. They're probably made in Wuhan, whatever the fuck.
Spaceship.
Wuhan market
That's
is.
an Anunnaki cat right there.
Yeah.
It's like what the Anunnaki's fucking guard dog was.
Yeah, New Zealand and Australia in general, they're just breeding grounds for insanity.
Wild shit,
Just-
yeah.
Nature's just like, let's roll the dice on this one. Let's
Madagascar.
do it all. Yeah, Madagascar's
Yeah.
a freak show too.
Only shit that's in Madagascar is only in Madagascar. Even plants. You know, they're only there.
I have a weird relationship with the topics we're discussing, like aliens and spirits and stuff. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, like homeschooled also, my entire adolescence. So literally all my peers were in my church, right? And I'm gonna make this brief because I don't want to go on too long about this, but I was extremely sheltered. I was a really sheltered kid until I moved out. I moved out when I was 18, moved up towards this way, and then started going to shows and like basically fell into the music scene here. Got to know a bunch of different people, and that like quickly replaced church for me. Like that really became something spiritual. Soviet Shiksa is a great example of that, where I go to one of those shows and I feel something. There's like power and energy in that. It feels like a gospel or like a church, you know.
Sorry.
all of like the good aspects of that, and none of the preachy bullshit aspects of it. So
I like that Ricky's almost
I'm so
disappointed.
sorry.
He's like, I was trying to be a funk band. He's like, damn, that wasn't the impression I was trying to give it off. Shit. Message not received.
we're all gonna dabba-dumpa-dumpa-bumpa-dumpa.
Yeah. He's like, we were
So-
trying to be a Primus cover band. Shit.
Prime's cover.
But I was like, when I moved out of my parents' house and I got on my own, I was like really jaded, edgy atheist kid, like Hot Topic goth kid, like try hard.
Yeah.
And
Did that stop?
No, I'm still that
Yeah.
guy. Now I'm 25 and it's cringier than it was before. Everyone's like, when is he gonna grow out of this? So
Proud of you.
thanks Devon.
Respect.
So you motherfucker.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to screw you up that bad. But I was like, yeah, I fucking hated Christianity. I was just like very much staunch atheist. But I was interested in the occult in a very like superficial way.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, very, very surface level Hot Topic kind of shit. And Tim Burton and
And cringe. And dude, look,
thank you for helping me during those dark times, man.
look,
Like,
we all had our cringy phases. I mean, I have a new, hold on. I mean, I have at least more than one Limp Bizkit record, so that's pretty cringe.
Hey,
Fortunately,
You
I'm
know.
older than cringe.
no cringy about Limp Bizkit, especially the first 3 records.
The first, okay, hold on.
$3
The first
bill
3, wait a minute, hold on.
Is that it?
You're the one wearing a mask. Counterfeit.
Oh, nice. Oh,
Sorry.
well done.
Yeah.
Applaud you, sir.
It's okay.
Man, I didn't even bring my $3 bills. I
There
wasn't
you go.
ready. I was not ready.
long story short, me and a girl I was seeing at the time, we bought a Ouija board for shits and giggles, just to do it. And the board we bought is like the letters are in a played like that, like in a dial,
Yeah.
instead of like this.
Okay, yeah, I understand, yeah.
And the planchette is also a circle. It's not the typical like wishbone shape that most planchettes are.
And I didn't understand like a difference between that and like a regular board when I bought it. I thought it was just like this cool aesthetic difference, you know. And we dropped acid, and then we sat down to play with it. And it's a weird thing, man. Have you guys ever used one? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Did you get any results?
None that were tangible. None that were really exciting or interesting.
If you'd be interested, I'd like to sit down with you at this board and see if anything happens. It's a very like, I've never used another board, so I actually don't know what that would be like. I've only used like this kind of board, but it's basically it was kind of moving along a little bit between letters, and we're both tripping balls, and I'm not really thinking it through all the way. I'm just kind of going with the flow of things in a trance kind of thing. And there's like, I'm thinking, okay, she has got to be moving it, even though I trust this girl. There's no reason for me to doubt her. That is the thought you have when you are in that position. You think, no matter who it is, you're like, okay, well, something besides physics breaking must be happening, right? So I think she's probably thinking the same thing, like I'm moving it. So we're just kind of watching it go back and forth. It's talking to us for a bit. The thing we got in contact with, its name was Prince, like Paw Prince,
Okay.
but it also would spell it Prince, like a royalty, depending on situations. And it called us Mom and Dad, and it kept trying to tell her that she was pregnant, which was just not possible. And it was like, well, then you guys need to conceive a kid. And we're like, I don't think that's gonna happen like right now. And it was like very insistent about that. And we're just kind of talking to it for a little while, and I feel this, after a little while, I feel like what feels like a string around my finger going like that. And I'm just kind of watching it because I'm tripping balls, and I'm like, I mean, it's not hurting me. I'm just going to see
Just gonna ride this
where
out.
this goes, right? And the same thing is happening to her, and you know could say suggestion like she saw it happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it started like doing this, like making fists. And I realized what it felt like was physical therapy, like it was trying to learn how to use a muscle. Like it didn't know how to use a body. It was trying to get acclimated to it. And then it started rotating my shoulder, and at this point I'm starting like, I guess like fear starts setting in. And I make myself wiggle my toes. And I look down at my toes, and I'm able to wiggle my toes. And that gives me like some reassurance where I'm like, okay, I'm in control here. And then I had to stop it for a second. I was like, oh, okay, I can make my shoulders stop rotating. That's cool. So I guess I'll just keep going with this. But after probably about 30 minutes of just weird, not really going anywhere, it was just kind of like just doing weird stuff with my arm, okay? And same with her. I glossed over it. One part in that I had like a stick that I'd carved down, and you call it a wand. I'd set it, well, I didn't do it, but my arm had set it right here on my arm, and hers was across from me like this. And we just started doing this. I started doing this, and she started
Dutch
doing
rudder?
that.
Dutch rudder.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Oh, well, I'll explain that a little later after you start. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just saw the Dutch rudder, and I was like, oh, man.
I'm missing out on that.
It's a masturbation technique.
Oh, no, I wasn't masturbating, unfortunately.
Also a double Dutch rudder.
You can double down, yeah.
No, my arm was up here, and it was doing this.
Okay, yeah.
And hers was across from me doing the same thing.
Okay.
And there was a stick in between our arms.
Yes.
The stick was doing this.
Oh, that's interesting.
We tried to recreate that the next day, and we couldn't coordinate it to make it do that. So that happened, and then after that, I was like, can you give me some kind of indication that you're like in control? Like wiggle your toes or like blink for me or something. And she just looks at me with this deadpan expression and doesn't do anything. And then, like, she looks like she's about to cry, like her face, like, and I, like, freak out. I'm like, this is not good. So I grab her arm and I run out of the room, and, like, I remember feeling like I was being tugged backwards, like, as I left. And I didn't stop. Like, I grabbed her arm, went out the door, went out my house, went to the edge of the fucking driveway. We're in our underwear. It's 3 a.m. I look like a crazy person, because I am. Mm-hmm. And we're at the edge of the driveway, and she just kind of comes to, and she's like, what are we doing out here? And I'm like, do you not remember what just happened? And she's like, kind of, but I don't remember why you dragged me out here. And then I have, like, this weird paranoia going on where I'm like, maybe that's not her that I'm talking to. Maybe that's something else inside of her. And it takes her, like, a minute to calm me down and be like, no, everything's fine. Let's go back inside. And I realize, like, I'm being the bad guy in this situation, because she's just trying to go back inside, and I'm like, no, like, you can't go indoors near that board or anything. Like, as I don't know what the fuck just happened, you know? And she eventually is like, no, I'm okay. Let's just go inside. And we do that. We go inside, and we don't fuck with that thing for a while. We did again later, and I've had some other interesting experiences with that. But that's where I'm coming from when I ask you guys these kind of questions. Because for a long time, I didn't believe in that kind of stuff until I went looking for it. And then there's some people that's like, they had a bunch of weird shit happen to them when they were kids, too. Mm-hmm. It's a weird thing.
Well, there's a lot out there.
Yeah. And I don't know what to make of that. Like, there's still, I have a pretty healthy, like, rationality in my mind still, where I say, I mean, we were tripping balls, you know, we're under a lot of, like, suggestion, obviously. So who's to say what really happened?
Yeah, I've had some very unusual and exciting experiences on acid in particular, not so much mushrooms. Mushrooms have never really had a large effect on me, but acid in particular, a lot of long nights full of paranoia and confusion and auditory hallucinations. The most tangible hallucination I think I ever had was I saw a dog that wasn't there.
Oh shit.
I was sitting at a campfire in the backyard of my friend's house, and me and a real dog that was there was sitting next to me at the fire. And this is a yard that's totally fenced in. Like, there's no way in and out. There's a concrete wall in the corner of the fence, and everything else is completely shut down. So no way for any other animals to get in and out of the yard. All the people I'm hanging out with, they're inside. I didn't smoke weed at the time. That's what they were all doing. So I was just at the fire by myself, drinking a beer, just enjoying my situation. You know, it's very peaceful, very cozy. It's very positive. I'm just sitting there petting the dog by the fire. Mm-hmm. I think I had a beer or 40, one of the two. Anyway, out of the corner of my eye comes a big old golden Labrador. And I see it, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta get Buddha inside, because that's a big, gnarly
ass dog. Fuck, that's a good boy.
Yeah, so I get Buddha. That's the name of the dog. It was real. I get Buddha, and I drag him into the garage, and I start taking him up the stairs of the basement to get him back inside. And my brother is coming down the stairs. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm taking Buddha inside. He's like, why are you taking Buddha inside? I was like, because there's a dog out there. And he's like, what? I was like, there is a giant dog in the backyard, and I don't want to get Buddha fucked up. I want to get Buddha inside, and we'll figure out what the dog situation. He's like, all right. So he lets me take Buddha upstairs, and he follows me. He gets me, and our two friends are up there. He's like, y'all come out here. And we go outside, and he's just like, so where's this dog? And I'm looking around. And he's like, no, seriously, Chris, where's the dog?
We need to talk.
I'm like, he came from right there. If he goes to the corner where the fence is and starts moving the blisters out of the way, he's like, there's no dog here. He's like, are you sure you saw a dog? I was like, yeah, I'm positive I saw a dog. And I'm just sitting there, and in that moment, like, I feel like reality's kind of corner me and just say, no, you were crazy for a second. And I was like, oh, all right. And that started a very long night for me. I do remember locking myself in the bedroom upstairs where everyone else was down at the campfire below, and I turned all the lights off, and the only CD I could find in the dark was a copy of Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here, and I threw it on the CD player and just put it on repeat, And I would look out the window from time to time, and every time I looked out the window to the guys down at the fire, they would all look up at me immediately, like the weirdest synchronicity. It was just terrifying. So like I stayed in that bedroom for like 2 hours by myself and listened to that fucking EP for like 3 or 4 times in a row before I finally convinced myself to go downstairs and hang out with them again. But yeah, I know the mania of an intense trip, but I can appreciate how what you experienced was a little bit more intense and unusual, and how it isn't necessarily explained by the acid or whatever you were doing.
And it's definitely, I try not to, like, I'm not trying to present it that way, where it's like, oh, look what happened. Like, that could be just some weird psychedelic experience.
Right.
What's interesting about it to me is I've been able to replicate this with, like, a great degree of success. Like, I probably, what I would call bodily possession, probably, like, around 100 times with various people. And really, I've only had, like... Okay, quick rant real quick. I fucking hate how the media and, like, movies and things portray spirits. Like, you go watch The Exorcism or Insidious or one of these generic horror movies, and they're all the fucking same, and none of them are accurate to my experience of, like, dealing with spirits. And... Like, in my experience, like, I've told you guys about this bodily possession thing that's happened to me. And that hasn't been a scary or bad thing, despite how it may sound, like, 98% of the time. Only a couple of times did I have encounters with things that, like, was scary. And, like, I felt like I was in danger. Most of the time, I've met things that are just, like, really... some of them benevolent, some of them just aren't good or bad. They're just like people. Like, it's like a whole range of them, you know? Yeah. And despite having met these kind of entities, I still hold in my mind that it might just be some kind of, like, figment, some, like, imaginary friend or something. But then that brings me on the question of, like, is there really a difference? Like, when a child has an imaginary friend, or, like, a bunch of Israelites create a god, like, is it really imaginary, or does that exist somewhere, you know?
Are you saying, like, manifesting something out of belief?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's as real as anything. Like, to a 5-year-old girl, imaginary friend is pretty fucking real.
Yeah.
To those Israelites, God's pretty fucking real.
And it's kind of like, who are other people to say, no, that's not real, that doesn't happen, you know?
Well, it's because reality is subjective.
Yeah.
It's if it's real to you, that's all that matters. There's thousands of schizophrenics that think a lot of things are real that no one else can really agree on. There are things that I might think are real that someone else might not necessarily agree on, and that's fine as long as I'm not endangering anybody with my belief.
Yeah.
It's when your beliefs endanger other people, then it becomes an issue.
It's only an issue, like you said, when your beliefs are infringing on other people's, like, rights to live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember, you brought up, like, schizophrenia. You remember, we were talking to Rachel and Q, and Q was like, I've battled, like, with mental health my whole life, like, I've had medication. And he's like, I just want you guys to know, you're all crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? I thought that was really neat, because he's just like, what you're talking about is, like, some kind of, like, you're not meeting an alien, you're just having, like, some weird schizophrenic thing going on. And I don't count that out, like, at all. Like, that's definitely a possibility, but like we were just talking about, I think the line gets gray, like what's real and imaginary is, like, I think imagination is real, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it is, because we only see what our brains create for us. Our brains are constantly creating our reality around. They're crafting around it. It's just a big old ball of tissue floating around the cerebus in our fucking skulls, and it's just flashing images in front of our optic nerve saying, this is what you're looking at, I promise. This is what you're smelling, I promise. But, who are we to say that schizophrenics aren't in tap with something that we're not necessarily all in tune with? Maybe they are talking to the same garden gnomes that DMT smokers are talking to, and we don't necessarily know.
There's a theory back in, I want to say the late 70s, I could be wrong, but there's a theory that was danced around with right around the time, that's probably even before that, when they were experimenting with the discovery of the mushrooms out of Oaxaca and discovering DMT and a lot of that, when that first hit the science community, like I guess in the later 60s when they really started messing with different things. And there was an idea that actually was the, I guess you said the catalyst of it. It would that they were psychologists were studying who studied schizophrenia, and they started testing on schizophrenic patients with things like LSD and DMT and things like that because of the way it alters a quote-unquote normal person. They were studying the way it altered a abnormal person, and there was a theory that schizophrenics may actually be the next evolutionary step in man, but it's like almost, I hesitate to say broken, but you know what I mean? It's like this next step up that the mind went quicker than the rest of everything. And so they're not necessarily broken, they're they're ahead in the wrong place.
Yeah, or maybe not necessarily complete.
Right. There's a thought they might be more advanced than us, but not like, it's a new model, they just didn't get the manual.
Yeah, it's like when cells first developed eyes, all it was just a big old sensory cell on the top of their little nub that could detect if there was light or no light, and it eventually became, our eyes. But yeah, I could see that could be, that's an interesting possibility. I'd like to do some reading on that particular situation.
Another quick story, and I'll try to make this one shorter than the last one. Just because we're on the subject. The first time I did DMT, I I'd gotten out of a breakup. I wasn't in like a really good headspace, and I went to a friend's house who had it, and he busted out like a crack pipe, like a bubbler, which this is how they were doing it, and I took like 3 deep inhales, and they had like this fucking, God, I'll never not hate them for this. They had like this fucking like shamanic like like fuck you guys.
Wait, they were doing them themselves, or they had it playing?
No,
okay.
no.
Is that like the late night like CD music where it's like this, the sounds of the desert? Hey,
I think they looked up.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like the sounds of the rain.
Yeah.
I think
they oh yes, of course. Like that whole vibe. No.
They looked up like ayahuasca shamanic chants or something.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
Because that's exactly where you're going to find authentic ayahuasca shamanic.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
One of my heaviest mushroom experiences, to interject real quick with music, was on about 7 grams of, I want to say they were Tasmanians. And I listened to the first 2 albums of master musicians of Bukkake. And if y'all ain't ever heard that, Totem 1 and Totem 2, man, I left my body. I was looking at myself from the ceiling, turning into a beast.
Did you say Masters of Bukkake?
Master Musicians of Bukkake. Shout out, great band. Check them out.
That sounds awesome.
Sounds like a creamy experience.
Nice.
Speaking of creamy experiences.
Yes?
So I hate to take such a weird turn.
No, go on.
I feel like everything that we've talked about thus far has had substances of some sort involved. Here's one, and this one kind of broke me. This was like the most matrix-breaking thing. Dead sober, all right, but mid-coitus, all right? So me and the missus having a great time, all right, reaching there at the end. And as we both finish, it's like somebody suddenly pushed the third player remote, or the third person perspective on the remote. And I went from being here to being about 6 feet behind me. And I was like, how am I looking at the back of my head? How am I, it just took a whole second. Then the room shifted and I was to my right and could see like us from an entirely different angle.
It's called tantra.
It's called stroke.
About no, it felt like it. So
You might have died, man.
I kind of wonder, like maybe I'm getting a second chance. Like maybe that's all this is. So
Went out with the bang.
about like 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds of just this whole altered. I'm not where the heck and trying to understand that I'm not like if I'm not moving my person anymore. So that's weird. But then come back to reality. She looks at me and she's, "Where the fuck did we just go?" And I'm like, "Whoa, I didn't say nothing. How? What? Who? How did she? That one still breaks me, and I'm just trying to get back to that situation like constantly.
I want experiences like that.
Unusual.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know. I'm trying to replicate
Do you
it.
guys think that substance plays a major or a minor or any part in y'all's creative process?
Substances?
that's an excellent question.
Actually, no, not with this project. I've in previous things when I would do writing, I would definitely go off the deep end with certain things. I did a solo EP years ago called "Sleep Is Better," and it has a lot of weird stuff on there, including an 8-minute song where I just rant about Scientology and I can't remember her name right now. Lizzie Borden. And I make this weird correlation between the two subjects while I'm
I need
ranting.
a copy of this.
That
track.
sounds amazing.
I have copies of this still on CD. I'll give you a copy eventually.
Yes.
But yeah, this particular stuff, no. I'm very sober when I write it. I can't. I mean, you've been to shows.
Yeah.
You played shows. I mean, I don't drink really when we play gigs or anything. I can't focus. I try to be as me as I can be when I'm doing
Well,
it.
I mean, your sets are really tight, so that makes sense that you guys aren't just fucking trashed up there.
Well, some of us are.
I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I was
Ricky.
about to
Hey,
say.
yeah.
Hold on.
I'm the one that gets all the drink tickets.
And Aaron has his fair
And
share.
Aaron, yeah.
Our drummer, our normal drummer. And when you drummed, you also did your fair share of tickets as well. Not as many as...
Yeah, I think I did most of mine like afterwards. I should have done more beforehand. I wouldn't have been so nervous. But but that was one of those where I'm like, I know I'm gonna fuck up this one song. I know it. I forget the cues. Damn it! Of course I did. I mean, I feel like I nailed everything else, but that one, I felt embarrassed.
You did fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a really hard time writing anything that I think is worth sharing with people when I'm doing anything. I don't really do much of anything nowadays. Occasionally I drink. That's about it.
I mean, Soviet's
here.
very heady, and like there's, I can't imagine how in the world you could like write that sort of stuff. That's how in the world you even get into that place in the first place, dude. Cheers.
It's very
So
dark.
I've also
lyrically.
found in writing, a lot of people will assume, because in 30 years you got rock and rollers that are known for doing things, and a lot of the joke is, even though it is not really a joke, that a lot of bands are sobered up, weren't any good anymore, or they just lost something, But I think people confuse that with, if they don't understand, like taking things that are very mentally expansive, like acid or something like that, not just smoking a little weed or drinking a little bit. Drinking is an issue on stage when people can't function. It's not really he's too out there. It's like, no, he's falling off the fucking ground.
Yeah. No
But-
control over arms
Right.
and legs.
But as far as I've
Flopping
performed
around.
under, like on mushrooms, and if I was really far gone on, it was like a space cake, so it wasn't like real intense.
Yeah.
It's not, a lot of people don't understand it. Like, oh yeah, I bet you take this and you really, and it's like, I tell people, if you plan on doing something when you drop, that's exactly not what you're going to do. So you never really take these kind of substances to go, okay, I'm going to sit down and write an album now. It's usually, I find it comes from after the fact. So
That
I
makes
just,
sense. Yeah.
thought that was...
It's about the journey. Like,
Yeah,
you're not writing in the middle of the journey.
That's
right,
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not so much
Yeah.
like...
You have to actually
of course,
have experienced
I'm
it.
a chain-smoking reefer head, so... I'm naturally smoking when I'm on stage, but it's not like, was he high?
Yeah.
It's like, when's he not?
It's me.
Well, like, to that thought, like, that old saying, like, when bands sober up, they're not as good as they used to be. With a lot of those instances, in my opinion, because I've thought about that too, because, I'm not the youngest musician in the world. I'm getting older myself, and I'm definitely more sober now than I've ever been in my entire life. One thing I try to take into consideration is those songs they were writing when they weren't sober. What are those songs designed to do? They're designed to hype up crowds. They're designed to make people maybe dance or, headbang or whatever, shake their asses. Like, it's that kind of music usually those bands tend to be associated with. And so when they cut out the booze and they cut out the drinking, they don't necessarily know how to write songs for the party. They get more heady. They get more introspective. And so, like,
where are the club hits at?
Right, like, they're not writing for that audience anymore. And I think that's a trap a lot of musicians get into, is they forget they're not the same person they were 20 years ago. And they're trying to write songs for people that they can't write songs for anymore. It's like Kevin Smith, he can't make Clerks again. He can make Tusk, he can make Yoga Hosers, because that's who he is now. He can't try to make Clerks again, because he will fucking fail.
Wouldn't receive it like it did when it came out.
Right.
Like any genre, any times of anything, we determine what is popular because of that.
I mean, there are exceptions to rule. Like that new song with Mick Jagger with Dave Grohl on drums, I think is fucking slamming.
I heard it.
It just came out a few days ago. I think it's great. One of I think the most perfect instance of an old musician doing something fantastic, an older musician, is when John Paul Jones had that group with Josh and Dave, them Crooked Vultures. Amazing goddamn record.
They dropped a new album, last year?
No. There's another
Them Crooked Vultures last year.
No, you're full of horse pucky. No way.
There's
are we talking
about them getting back together and doing a record.
Are we
I read something about that recently, but there's not a second Them Crooked Vultures
look this up.
There's another record. I want it.
Oh my god.
They
how in the world would have
Devon, last year.
I know they did like a live EP.
No, wait.
I think Troy Van Leer on guitar, or the other guy who played. No, I don't know.
Alan Johanna, or
I'm not sure.
We're talking about the super group with Dave Grohl and Josh Homme, right?
Yeah, and
dropped
John Paul
another record.
Jones on bass.
Yeah.
Discography. No, they got one album and a single.
Wait, they have a single?
Well,
just the same.
Right.
Single from the record.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Maybe you just time traveled, man.
Maybe a time travel.
Well, Josh has a lot of other projects. Like, he's got Eagles of Death Metal.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got
Death Metal,
Queens of Stone Age. There's a bunch of other
Maybe
things.
it might have been just some other homemade project that is.
Well, you got my hopes up. I hope you're happy.
I'm sorry.
I hope
I'm
you're
sorry.
satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, what? The last
Those
record
rounds.
was great, though.
Anything that involves music again. It's a disappointment.
God.
Well, get on that. Do it.
Not only do I need to look it up, now I got to get in touch with Hame
Yeah.
and tell him,
Tell him to get on his ass, dude.
dude,
Say, hey, this is Neef.
yeah,
Get on your ass. Get off your
do
ass.
it. I
Go
don't care
do
if
it.
girls on the drums as long as John Paul Jones is playing bass.
Dude, he's got
Calm
John
down,
Theodore
Kroger.
now. He doesn't even need Dave Grohl. He's got, oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean-
Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, Theodore.
But I was to finish off that point. Essentially, if anyone ever tells me that they're not writing records as good as they used to be because they're old, I usually search those artists out and I'm like, well, I probably need to listen to what they're doing because it sounds like they've fucking evolved and they're doing something that's outside of their wheelhouse, and it's probably interesting. At the best, at least it's interesting, I'm sure.
Well, there was a lot of bands that people thought were heavily drug influenced,
But weren't.
but really weren't.
I'm sure.
Zeppelin, they had problems, but like John Paul Jones, Robert Plant, I mean, Bonham drank too much. Jimmy Page.
Yeah, he definitely drank too much.
Jimmy Page went through some stuff.
I think
but
Jimmy Page did a lot of stuff.
Robert Plant, I don't even think he smoked weed. He would drink, just like anybody would drink,
He seems relatively healthy.
Yeah.
He's aged very well. He still has great voice.
But then look at Keith Richards.
Man's a fucking muppet. still alive. But
They said that.
And by that you mean he's mostly made of like styrofoam, and that's why he's still magically alive. Is just
Yeah.
he's
got-
completely uncondecomposable.
I thought you meant because he's getting fisted really hard.
No, I mean,
Oh.
No.
No, that's not what I meant. Yeah.
even from what I understand, even Floyd, which it's real questionable. Roger Waters said that the only thing he ever did was he got in the hash and he had a very heavy addiction to nicotine. But if you watch Live at Pompeii and you see that footage of him being interviewed when he nods out after a question, and he's like, it's like...
Yeah.
When you... man.
Yeah, I don't buy those guys were experimenting very heavily with drugs. At least pre-Dark Side, for sure.
Right. Well, I mean, also, you look at... there's a footage of Zappa playing with him, and Zappa was definitely not about drugs.
No.
He very adamant. He wasn't like hardcore straight edge. I mean, he smoked cigarettes, drank coffee, but he just didn't do it and kind of looked at it like whatever. But I mean, the looks, when you look at that footage of them playing, Rick Wright, Nick Mason, I mean, they look at the camera, and if they're not fucking on acid, they're on fucking speed. They're on that fucking, them coffee inhaler thing, throw the cotton in the coffee shit. I don't know them, and they're just bug-eyed as like a camera. So it's really like, I question what y'all gotta say. Why don't y'all just come out and be like, look, we did shit back in the day. It's fine.
Yeah, Zappa's a huge inspiration of mine, and some of my favorite songs of his are him being satirically critical of that lifestyle and of those types of musicians. Anytime I write anything and I feel like, oh, this is weird or this is stupid, I just listen to like Shake Your Booty and I feel better. I'm like, it's okay. This is going to be fine.
Cosmic debris.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun.
This is okay. Like, Zappa is, he's very respected. This will be okay.
I was suggested to pick up on his picking technique.
Yeah.
I started playing with a metal outfit, and I was like, I gotta speed up my leads and get more into doing that again. And my buddy Joey Christian plays for a band called Rhetoric, and he actually moved out of state. He suggested, he goes, you listen to Zappa? I said, I'm not a crazy Zappa, but I'll listen to him. And he goes, well, check out this. And he pulled up Black Napkins, a live version. And he said, watch his hand. And he does mostly up picking, almost always, which is really odd because as fast and as wicked as he is, it's almost always up picking. I don't use a pick anymore. So I was like, all right, and I started to try that, and I ended up plucking, almost like a violin pluck.
Yeah, staccato.
And I'm thinking this is going to slow me down, and actually it's the opposite. I was able to get more precise. It was really one of those crazy, like, I could get speed licks down because it made my double stroke more precise.
I could see how that would strengthen that.
And this is 30 years after playing guitar, and I'm still like, Zappa, level up.
Yeah, I can imagine you messing with that technique for the first time too. You would probably look very manic playing guitar when you were learning that. Yeah. Jeez.
But it's
Well, gentlemen, I won't take up too much more of your time. Do you mind if I wrap up that story I started a minute ago?
Please.
Sure.
So, then I'm, everything starts getting hazy.
Yes, the crack pipe.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, that wasn't me sucking a dick. That was a crack
when you
pipe.
smoke crack, when you smoke DMT through a steamroller, the proper street term for that.
So I'm sitting in bed, and, I hear, whom, and,
You heard the sound of the universe? Ohm?
pretty much. And at a certain point, he took it out of my hand. And he just said, "Lay back," and he lightly pushed me, and I whoosh, 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 back up to the bed. And I'm laying there, and I close my eyes, and I'm looking at this big lime green circle with my eyes closed, and in the middle of it is like a lemon colored slanted line. I'm looking at a frog's eyeball, all right, and it had how a frog's eyeball, it's pupil is like that.
Yeah.
And okay, so it's like that, but then there's another one going like this, so it makes a cross.
So it's like Hypnotoad?
Yeah, it's got a cross in its eye, and it's not a whole toad, it's just the eye, okay? And I'm looking at this thing, and I realize I'm looking at an eye. And when I do that, I kind of go whoa. And when I do that, it goes, whoa, its pupil dilates. and then we rush into each other.
That was it.
And I go unconscious, out. And I wake up in a field of grass. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, where's my body? And the weirdest thing about it is how I got there. Because I remember waking up to being grass. Like, basically, it seemed like I had been there for a while. Like, I had just been grass, like this blade of grass, for like a long time. And then I became aware that I was also a human being. So it's like I got there, but I'd always been there when I got there, if that makes sense.
It does.
And then it was not an uncomfortable sensation until I remembered being human. And then it was very uncomfortable. It's like, I don't want to be grass. I'm done with whatever the fuck this is. And I'm guessing it was probably like the music that they were playing in the background while I was in the trip, but I hear like a mandolin or something. It's a string instrument. I can't exactly isolate it, but and then this old Asian lady starts walking up the hill to where the grass is at, and then she just sits down and she's singing this song and playing. It's like a very rudimentary like box instrument, and she's singing this song in like Mandarin or something, but I understand the words to the song. And she's singing about this mom out like it's like out in like this rice field somewhere, and she's like got like 6 kids, and it's a single mom, and her crops aren't doing good, and her kids are hungry, and she like doesn't know how she's going to survive the winter. And I'm like in that situation with them as she's singing this song, and it like hurts. Like I'm there with them, and it feels awful. And then the song is talking about this old man, and he's got like this wagon, and he's like carrying it into town. And like as she's singing it, I can feel like my back breaking. Like it's like very painful. And he's just going to town. Like he's got like wheat and like other shit back there to sell. That's how he makes his living. And she shows me a few more of these like panels, and then eventually I realized that she's trying to tell me that like I have it really good. She's like, you have no reason to be pessimistic about your life. It's like, you have no idea how good you have it. And I was like, okay, I get what you're trying to tell me. I can go back now. And she's like, no. I'm going to drill this into you so you never forget. And I feel like I'm there for like an eternity after the point that I'm ready to leave, you know? If it drags on way too long. And eventually I come back, and my friend, he says, welcome back. And I immediately just burst into tears. And I'm like, I'm never doing that again. I've had some really excellent experiences with it after that, but that was my first DMT trip.
It's exciting.
And I realized afterwards that I needed to hear that. Like, I had that trip, like, I feel like she was trying to teach me something I needed to hear. Because I was, like, in not a great space at the time. And after that trip, like, it was hard, but it was like ripping a Band-Aid off. Like, I felt so much better after that.
Well,
yeah. Well, gentlemen, thanks again.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been an interesting night.
We've been to the moon and back. July 30th, Soviet Shiksa, and
the Goddamn Gallows.
The Goddamn Gallows at Springwater. That's going to be a motherfucking show. I'm definitely going to be there.
Absolutely.
So hold on, before you get 100% out of here, like, there's, how many bands are you in now? Like, there's still, like...
Three.
Three
at the moment, yes.
Okay, so we got
Soviet, Spirits Republic, and Pale Apollo.
Pale Apollo.
Yes.
Hold on. That was not the one I was anticipating you to say right there.
Oh, which one did you think I was going to say?
Well, I thought you were going to say Damn Rivers, and then
no.
I'm just, what is Pale Apollo?
Pale Apollo is a newer band. It's kind of Daughters-esque.
Oh.
Gets pretty aggressive.
Oh, we about to
Pretty
have a lot
weird.
more conversation off camera. Wow, like I just got a bit of a hard on with that one. That's really where did that daughters?
Hey, fuck it. Cafe Coco won't kick us out. Let's stay here till 4 in the morning.
Okay, well, no, they close it like they're right. They're not 24 hours yet, but they are open.
I'm just kidding.
Coco is open.
Oh yeah,
Don't
yeah.
believe the dirty rumors. They're here. Come
Shout
get
out,
it.
And
shout
they're
out to
doing
Cafe
shows.
Coco.
Yeah, doing
Cafe
shows in the
Coco.
back.
Cafe Coco, vegan chili.
Get you.
Tomorrow night,
Hugs
I think
over
they're
car
doing,
doors.
open mic.
Oh yeah, Cafe Coco has an open mic poetry thing. So when this goes up, it'll be that day. So if you're watching this, Cafe Coco has an open mic poetry thing as we speak.
Or in a little while, and you should watch this and then go to that.
Yeah. Don't stop watching this to go to Cafe Coco though. Is anything else you guys want to plug?
No, we will be doing. We just recently did a live album for the Festival of Ghouls, hosted by Fablecry last year.
Yeah.
We posted that online. We're doing a similar, our last kind of quote unquote live situation during the COVID era. We're going into County Q on the 13th of May to record a 6-set song we're calling CS and the Lady Killers. A 6-song set, not a 6-set song. 6 song sets called CS and the Lady Killers.
That water's hitting hard, huh?
That water is strong. So we'll be recording that in May and hopefully releasing that in June.
Okay.
So there'll be 2 new songs on there and then 4 live versions of some
Fuck
older
yeah.
songs. So
Awesome. That's a lot of really exciting shit going on. It's been such, you guys have been here. Life has been stale for like a year and a half.
yes.
So I am so fucking excited to see you guys doing things and to see Nashville gearing up again. So, yeah. Alice, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.